I thought they were gonna shave me. They didn't shave me. I'd never seen that before in my life. Is this person there? Like, is this person alive? I have a lot of things we need to talk about.
I ain't got a clue, bro.
Welcome to part 2, guys. I hope you're doing good once again. Ish, guys, power outages are just... Oh, oh, OR. The OR. In the OR, I remember the only thing I had control over on my body was my head. It was my head. I was so scared because all I could do was this. You know, you're just there and you're just looking at this person here and you can't see anything else. You're just hearing, you know, their tools and stuff. And they explained to me, you're gonna feel the pulling and the tugging, like when we pull obviously they have to pull the babies out. You're gonna feel when we pull the babies out, but you're not gonna feel the pain of it, I guess. They told me you're gonna feel everything, just except the pain, basically. So now I'm feeling everything. They're cleaning me up. I thought they were gonna shave me. They didn't shave me, but they cleaned me up. And then I didn't feel them cut me, honestly. But I felt when they started pulling the babies out, they started pulling the leading twin one. I was like, okay. I could feel on my lungs. I don't know if if twin one had been putting pressure on my lungs, that like when they were pulling her, I was feeling it in my lungs. And then obviously now I'm struggling to breathe. The anesthesiologist was like, are you in pain? I'm like, it's not pain, it's just there's pressure on my lungs. And then after that, I was out. I think she increased the dosage because after that, out. And I came to just before, like literally just before they were done, because I came to and I turned. I don't know what told me to turn, but I came to and then I turned to my left and they're like, oh, here's your first twin. And then they're like, oh, it's girls. And they're like, here's your first twin, and it's twin one, and she's like red. She has Chinese eyes. She has big, cheeks and like tiny lips. She's just chubby. And then she's not chubby, but like, she just, and they like, and I'm like, who do you look like? And I've always said to you guys, giving birth in public, even a private hospital, because they take your baby away, you have to find something to mark on your child, something specific that like if they bring a child back to you, you can easily be like, this is not what I saw right after I gave birth. Because I marked the first twin. I marked her because I was just like, who do you look like? She didn't look like me, doesn't look like her dad. So I was like, who do you look like? She was super yellow. Like she was, I am not yellow. I'm just fair, right? So she was like red, like pink yellow. And she had Chinese eyes. She just looked nothing like us, any of us. And that's how I marked her. The Chinese eyes especially. And then twin 2 looked like her dad. She was skinnier than the first twin. She was longer or taller, whatever, longer. And she was tiny, but she was obviously, you couldn't tell that she's longer than the first one because she's tiny and small head, big eyes. Her teeth, her gums look like teeth. That's how I marked her. Like she was crying. So now that I'm seeing the gums, I'm like, why your gum looks like teeth? Like they just look like, I marked her like that. I'd never seen that before in my life. So that's how I marked her. And then they wheeled me into recovery. It's like a little nook outside of the OR where they fill out their forms and stuff, and they wait for you to completely like wake up and like, and they converse and stuff, and they like ask you questions like, what's your name? All of that. And then when you come to, they wheeled me to maternity. Maternity, they brought the twins in, and then I remember I was awake, but I couldn't feel my legs still, like from the waist down, or like my stomach down. I could only move like this part of my body, my arms, and I had to like pull my body. I was struggling. I remember struggling. I was like, oh my God. I was struggling to position my, like, change how I was sleeping, because now I have to, they bring them in so I can breastfeed, and now I'm struggling because I'm breastfeeding both of them at the same time. They were like, I was laying on my side, and I struggled to even put myself on my side. It was a mess. And at the same time, they tell you to avoid using your core muscles, like don't strain too much, like you should be laying down. Don't try to use your core muscles, like, and you're gonna feel it when you're using them, because obviously you have an operation down there. But I found myself struggling to like turn, and because one was here, the twins were positioned like this, like one was higher and then one was lower, and then I just found a way to balance and then breastfeed both of them at the same time. And man, I made it happen. I don't know how. And then after that, I remember feeling like, I was like, as my body, my legs are like coming back, like the feeling, I remember feeling like I'm laying in water, and I was like, why? Like, and then I called one of the nurses. I'm like, no man, I feel like I'm laying in water. Like, I don't know if it's like my brain tricking me, because then my feeling, my legs are like, I'm gaining back the feeling. But when they checked me, I was actually laying on blood for real. So my own blood, obviously. So now they had to clean me up. They cleaned up the blood. After some time, they told me to change the babies. But obviously they helped me, because then it's 2 babies, obviously. So one took the other twin, Amapesa, and I stayed changing the other one. And I also remember that they tried, like, they encouraged you to start walking a bit. I started walking. They're like, oh, go get some water. So they don't bring water to you. You have to go to the tap and get your water, as a way to like get you to move around. And I went, I washed my hands, and I got some water and stuff. And they brought, because I had brought my bag, the bag I came in when I came in for the checkup, with my phone and my water bottle and stuff. They brought that in so I could go get water and stuff. I don't remember, honestly, the story my boyfriend told me about what was happening on his side, but I remember that the important part is that he was denied access. So he did not know, like, he just knew that, listen, I'm going from at like 5-6 p.m. All he knows is that this person's gonna go into C-section. Well, she's gonna go into the OR. And I told him, like, I'd already packed the baby's bags. I think I just needed him to pack my things, like the extras, like the pillow, the ink. I've said this on my channel, like, if you going to give birth at a hospital, you cannot go without a pillow and a blanket and a gown if it's winter. Even if it's summer, there's different gowns for different seasons. But he brought those. It was a case. It was a whole case. But I only got those like the next day. Excuse me. I got my phone in the AMs. The day shift doctors are now like walking in, and she is marching towards me, because then my bed is like it's like a corner bed. When you walk into the ward, like, I can see everyone who's walking into the ward, because I'm literally right by reception. I'm looking at her like marching towards me, and she's like, hey, you need to move, because Baba. Oh yeah. And I can see her marching towards me, and I'm like, what the hell? She gets to me, she's like, listen, you tested positive for COVID, you need to be isolated right now. They wheel me into an isolation room. There's another lady there. There's like 2 of us, but like the room is wide enough. There's a lot of distance between us. And after that, then I got the bags my boyfriend dropped off. And now I have the bags. I have those bags, and I remember I thought, Baba Warasa. I remember I thought, okay, he's gonna come in the morning. They didn't allow him. They didn't give him access. I'm texting me like, I'm not being allowed in. Like, what ward are you in? I tell him, he type thing. He's like, obviously during the day, he's bringing food and stuff and like everything I wanted my kheu, I wanted, you know, water and stuff like that. And he was denied access. Like, he couldn't enter the hospital altogether. He said he didn't enter the hospital, man. He said I was denied access into the hospital and I had to drop the things off at security. Like, when you enter, you drop off at security. And he's like, also, he tried, because he was so stressed, he didn't know how the operation went. He tried to get them to call the ward to ask if I'm in the ward. You know what I mean? Like, I get after you deliver from the labor, you go to maternity. He tried to call the ward to be like, is this person there? Like, is this person alive? And they didn't want to give him that information. So yeah, he was stressed, right? So, but yeah, I gave birth and then I got my things the next morning and then I was fine. The only thing I can say is that I don't understand. These hospitals don't serve tea. The only hospital that served tea is Krugersdorp. I gave birth in Krugersdorp. What's the hospital? Joseph Dadu. I gave birth there. They give tea. Like, we know that tea is good for breast milk, right? I think that's general knowledge amongst moms, you know what I mean? So it's weird. Like, that hospital, their food was good. Their food was good. Like, we had beef, we had, on days there we had fish, I think. Like, it was just different every day, and like, it was really good. It was really good food. But there was no tea. And I was like, that's weird. Like, like, you don't even have to give me tea is for breast milk, guys, the best. So porridge and tea, but I had maheu, things like that too, because then it's basically porridge to, you know, make the milk, because I wanted to exclusively breastfeed. And now I had a problem when I was in the hospital because twin one does not like, to this day, does not like the breast. She doesn't have a problem with the milk, the breast milk. The breast is the problem. As a mom, you know that, like, breast milk, the baby has to suck a few times before the milk actually comes out, right? Even when you're pumping your milk, you know that the pump it's gonna take a few pumps before the milk starts flowing. So she hates that. So she wasn't feeding enough. Like, she'd be on my boob, but she's very lazy. Like, she's so lazy. So her blood sugar was very low. Twin 2, on the other hand, a champ. A choice to that one. She bona. To this day, she loves the boob. And her latch and the sucking was strong from day one. Twin 1, very weak. So her blood sugar was low. Now I have to watch them getting pricked. And get they prick the heel of the foot. And now you're there. Because my babies were not admitted. But obviously the blood sugar levels have to be at a certain level. I think it's over 4 or something. I don't remember. In order for us to get discharged. For me to get discharged. If not, then the babies get admitted. So now I'm there. I'm watching them prick them. They're screaming 3 times a day, guys. 2 babies are getting pricked, like prick, and they're screaming every day, 3 times a day, for 4 whole days. I was there from Monday to Thursday, did not sleep. I was just like, and then I remember the nurse, because then I'm in isolation, so only specific nurses are allowed and a specific doctor. If you're not allowed to enter, then obviously they don't even give you the PPE, right? So I remember a nurse going, Boipelo, you need to wake her up in the middle of the, like, I cannot wake her up. Like, I try, right? And if she wants the boob, I don't even have to try. I just have to take her, put her on my boob. If she feels my boob, like, if she feels the nipple on her like lips, she will open her mouth. Twin 2 used to do that. Like even today she does that. She had no interest in the boob. So now she was like, I remember her threatening me like, you need to breastfeed the child, otherwise we're gonna admit them. And then I was so annoyed because I was so annoyed. Anyway, they brought in formula, so I had to give her formula, and I gave her for some time. It was just sitting there because I'm not into. I think I've expressed how I feel about formula, so it was just sitting next to me there on the side table because I was just like thinking about it, right? And then I was like, it's a cup, it's not a bottle, it's not something she's gonna get used to or something. So I gave them, like right before they were gonna get checked, I gave them blood sugars here. So I was gonna be discharged the next morning, which was a Thursday. I remember I hadn't showered even because I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't leaving them. I wasn't leaving them to go to the toilet. And the lady I was with got discharged because she wasn't discharged. She was at the hospital, she wasn't admitted. She gave birth and she was fine. She was just there because it was a C-section, first of all. Second of all, her baby had complications, so he was admitted. And now she's basically there because she wants to breastfeed, number one. Number two, so that she can know what's happening with her child. But she can't see the child because she tested positive for COVID. And the baby has complications. So those two combined, I'm like, I don't know, but like, if I have COVID, don't my babies have COVID? I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. And then I remember, anyway, because also another thing, she was expressing milk and then giving to the baby. So I'm like, doesn't that make the baby COVID positive? Like, it didn't make sense. But they did not allow her to see the baby, so she literally gave up. She was like, I'm going home, because I remember her phone like would ring the whole day. The family would call her the whole day, like, what's happening? She had no clue what was going on. And now I remember there's a nurse, she was like, please, when you go to the ward, just please check on my baby and tell me what's happening. All the doctors are giving her is bad news. It's like, this is what's wrong with the baby. This is what we need to do. This is what's wrong now. This is what we need to do now. And like, they're not telling her, they're just giving her bad news after bad news after bad news. And it's things she didn't understand. Like, oh, it's jaundice, and now it's gone into the blood it was just a lot. I remember the doctor coming in and explaining, oh, we need a blood transfusion. What? Like, when the doctor left, that lady was so confused. Like, she was so confused. She's like, why did you even tell? Like, why did she even bother coming to tell me? Because all she's doing is just giving me stress, right? And not even telling me, oh, we have a solution, we're going to do this. Not even telling me this is what this means, you know? And now when the family calls, it's like, what's happening? She's like, hey, I don't know. They're saying this and that. Like, she doesn't know. So she decided to leave. So now I'm left alone. I'm like even going to the bathroom, and my room was right next to the bathroom. So even going to the bathroom is like, oh my God, I need to rush. I need to time it also. I can't just go when there's no one in the hallway. I need people to be around, and then quickly go. And like, for example, if the nurse is there in my room, I can quickly go and come back. Yeah, so I showered on Thursday. I showered the day I left. I showered Thursday at 3 or 4 a.m. It was in the a.m.s. I chose that time. I was actually waiting. That hospital is so quiet, guys. I was waiting for, like, you know, just busyness, right? So I can go shower. And then I heard the doctors coming out of the OR. My room was the first one. Coming from the OR was the first one. So I was like, okay, the doctors are there. I quickly went into shower. I came back and I packed my bags because I knew the doctor, what day shift, was going to discharge me. Yeah, and then that's when my boyfriend saw us and we left. And yeah, I remember I was in so much pain. Oh my God, I was so much pain. And now you're leaving with the twins. Now You are leaving, you are going home, you're going to see flames. But honestly, the twins, I had so much help, guys. I had so much help from my family, my grandmother, my mom, my aunt. I stayed in the back room, or in the smaller house at the back or whatever. So my aunt would take care of the main house, like clean the main house and cook and whatever, right? And whatever. And then my mom would cook for me, would be responsible for feeding me and the kids and the twins. And then my grandmother was just there to just help me. Like, help me. If they're both awake at the same time, wanting to breastfeed, things like that. So my mom slept with me in the back. And then at some point, my mom and my grandmother would alternate. But yeah, they helped me a lot. I did take pictures, but the phone I was using at the time broke. So that's that. But yeah, it was very interesting. It was not easy. It's not easy today. I mean, that's why I'm a full-time mom, but it's not easy. But my family really came through. Like, they came through. Postpartum, I remember my grandmother being at home helped. My grandmother, we got so much advice from people who had twins. I remember the first one was, don't separate twins. Don't separate their clothes. Don't separate them. Don't separate anything. Don't separate. They are born like this. They must stay. You know what I mean? They're born like this. They must stay like this. They must sleep in the same. I remember I used Azanya's cot because it's very big. It's wide. It's big. So we used this cot. I just put a divider in the middle. But when they were newborns, I wouldn't put a divider in the middle. But I would just place them. They sleep next to each other. If they touch, that's the best, because they sleep for longer. But then separate them. Their bath water, just don't separate anything, right? So that's what we did. And breastfeeding at the same time, like breastfeeding like this, that was me. And to think that it was once just like an idea, like, oh my God, I wish I could just have twins and finish having babies. Because that's what I said, like after I had Azania, I was like, I want to have twins just so I can, be done, but I thought it would be later, my late 20s, like 27, 28, 29 there. But I was like, oh, if I could just have twins but now that I have the twins, now I want more children. I'm very conflicted. Anyway, yeah, so it's not easy. It wasn't easy. The healing, sneezing was painful. Coughing was painful. Oh, what else was painful? Laughing was painful. Oh my God. Everything was painful. Moving, as you can imagine, moving was painful. Like, it was just painful. And now I was annoyed at the fact that, like, when you deliver naturally, you bleed, right? That's all you deal with. You just bleed and you'll be fine. But when you deliver C-section, you have the scar and you're bleeding. I'm just like, nah, this ain't it. This is not it. I am my grandmother. If you don't know what that is alu. She had to go into the yard. Luckily, there was alu, the plant, next to the back room I was at. So she would just go there every day, get it for me after my bath time, and then I would apply mascara and like, it was just, oh, essence of life. If you know, you know. I don't know, what's that brand? Essence of life. I remember I used to drink it in my tea, and then I used to apply the alu on my scar. What else did I do? I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. All I remember was pain. Like, dealing with the scar was harder than dealing with the twins, you know, because with the twins I had help, but obviously with the scar, no one is feeling the pain on my behalf, right? So yeah, it's another thing. Oh my god, so it's one of the things where I'm like, if I want to have more children later, they're most likely gonna be C-section babies again. So if I want to have another child or children, it might be, everyone tells me, oh my god, after I had the twins, everywhere I went, because after I had the twins would they got discharged like when 14 months. At 14 months they got discharged, but we would go to the hospital every 3 months because it's twins, they have to monitor them. So every 3 months I'm at the hospital, and every time everyone's just like, you have twins, same sex, you're gonna have twins again until you have mixed gender. And I'm like, don't say that, like, why don't you try again, maybe have twin boys. I'm like, I low-key want that, but please not now. I am not now. It is a lot. Anyway, yeah, postpartum, listen, my family, Bona, they championed it with me. And then yeah, the dad would visit. I remember at some point schools closed. Azania was going to crash at the time. Right now she isn't. And yeah, so guys, I have a lot of things to unpack with you guys. I have a lot of things we need to talk about. But at the time she was going to crash, which was heartbreaking. Another thing that was heartbreaking. Because I didn't feel that, hey man, it was hard to, it felt like I knew that she struggled with not getting my attention when the twins came, but she had to go to crash so I could cope, you know, and yeah, she had to go. And I remember feeling so guilty and so bad because I knew that I was getting her out of the house for like 6, 7, 8 hours of the day because I was failing, you know, to give her the attention that she needs. She's not gonna get that attention at school. She's just going there to be with other people, be with other kids and play. But I knew that what she really wanted was my attention. I couldn't give her that. And I was like, this is why I really don't like her going to crash. Even now, it's something that my partner and I have to, like, we've spoken about it, but I struggle with it. I struggle with this, like, especially because I'm a full-time mom, and like just weighing me not being a full-time mom and paying for a caregiver or like a nanny or creche for 3 kids, as opposed to being a full-time mom and actually being here for my kids. I remember I was like, okay, I'll be with the kids, and this is turning into a completely different video. I remember we were like, I'll be with the kids and Azania will go to school. But even then, I was battling with it because I knew that the reason I would want her to go to school is to get her out of the house, you know? So again, you know, I don't know if I'm making sense, guys, but I had a problem with Azania going to creche because I knew she was only going there because I couldn't give her attention. And she knew that I couldn't give her the attention, so she didn't want anything from my other family members. So she didn't want my grandmother to bathe her. She didn't want my mom. She didn't want them to touch her. They could make food for her, fine. But even in the beginning, she was like, I want mommy to make me tea. I want mommy to make me bread. I want mommy and Kapise. That went on for like forever. Even after the twins were like, when did I leave home? I think the twins were like a year old already. She was still going to creche at the time at home. So she, like, even though we were at home, like the twins were older and I could like wake up in the morning, get her ready for school and stuff. Even though like she was, the twins were older and it was a better situation, she still didn't want anyone else to prep her for school, right? She didn't want anyone else to make her food at times. So I knew that the only reason I am getting my child out of the house is because I am failing to give her the attention that she needs because of the twins. And I didn't want to continue doing that. Like when we came back to Centurion, I struggled with continuing. Like we looked for a new school, we found it. But obviously we were looking, we were applying, applying online and stuff. And I still was grappling with the thought, with the same idea. Like, I was just like, is she really gonna go? Like, am I really gonna send her to school even though I feel like it was just me covering up my failure in a way? I don't know if that makes sense. But anyway, that's a whole another discussion and video, Anyway, so yeah, my parents did help. My family did really help me with the twins. Azanya struggled a bit with adjusting. Postpartum was worse than natural delivery, honestly. But we healed and like time flew by, and now you look back, you're like, that happened? Like, I look back now and I'm like, I was pregnant. I was pregnant with twins, and here they are, and like they have big heads. Like, it's just so mind-boggling that it's unbelievable. Now it's like, do I want more kids? Do I not want more kids? Because also they said no to tie my tubes. So it's a anyway, did I talk about everything? If you have questions, guys, ask, because honestly I'm gonna ramble and touch on different topics because it's like almost 2 years. No, not almost 2 years. It's almost a year and a half ago that I gave birth. So I'm dealing with new issues as a mom of 3 and trying to parent 3 kids, 3 different personalities, also be there for myself, be in a relationship. It's a lot going on. But if you have questions, you know what to do. I'll answer your questions, and some things require a separate video. Like I said, Bimbi's adjustment to the twins and my feelings about creche and why I became a full-time mom. And I've always been a full-time mom, but why I stuck with it, like why I stuck with it. It's a lot. It's too much, and I don't think I've spoken about everything I've experienced from the pregnancy and the postpartum. But obviously, if you have a question, I'll answer it. Because like I said, I can't remember, honestly. Like, it feels like it never happened. Like, it feels like someone else was pregnant on my behalf, and like they just gave me these twins with big heads and stuff. It's so weird. I'm so tired. I'm recording. What is it? Not 6 p.m. It's not 7 p.m. I'm recording. Load shedding is about to hit. At 8, we have to eat. 8 o'clock, we start prepping for bedtime. It's a whole show, guys. It's a whole show. Oh, guys. But we'll get into how that is, how the full-time motherhood is. Because at the end of the day, I chose it, but it has its own struggles, and there are people who live like me out there. There are people with the same experiences. So I will make more videos about my experience. Anyway, that's that for today's video. If you have more questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm posting this video on Friday or Thursday. When? I don't know, but I am trying to post twice a week now, so pray for me. I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you for staying tuned. Thank you for watching. They're starting to make noise now, and I am tired, and I need to go eat. I'm hungry and all that good stuff. Okay. Bye, guys.